So this is the first layer of body filler over the fiberglass. So this is going to get another coat of body filler on it to get it completely straight, flat. Dash is the same way. Came out really nice, but it's going to get another coat as well. The first coat's just on there to fill and to kind of get as straight as possible, and then the second coat will skim coat it really good and fill all these little imperfections in. And then after we do all that, on the second coat, when it's done and sanded, I will stick these pieces back in just to double check to fit everything, and then I'll go ahead and prime it. Once the dash and those 4 pieces for the door panels get in final primer, I will then bring them back to my shop where the car's at, and the rest is here, and we will have a pile of primered interior pieces to where once we are ready for them, all we have to do is sand down the final primer and get them ready for paint, and they can be sealed and painted right very then. So still a lot of work to go. As you can see, doing a full interior paint is very, very time consuming. Is it hard? Not really. It's more mentally hard than anything, but it's fairly simple to do. And the reason why I'm doing this is because, one, it looks cool when it's done. If you ever seen a custom car or truck that has a fully shaved and smoothed interior and painted, kind of like what they do with the graphics, and they bring the graphics inside the doors and the panels and everything, it all matches. We're not going to go that crazy with it, I don't think, but you can just, when you do this and you sand it and you paint it, it just makes the interior look that much better, in my opinion. You don't really see too much of it anymore. It's fairly unique to see. You see it more in the mini truck guys that do it. They have like those dashes and door panels where they can add graphics onto it, and it's all seamless. Those guys do it more than anything else. But as far as like cars, like the custom cars and things like that, you really don't see fully shaved interior to where it's all smooth. And when I say shaved, I mean the texture in the panels. From the factory, these panels have a lot of texture in them, so you have to sand the crap out of them. And then you got to prime the crap out of it, because if you know anything about sanding plastic, if you sand it really, really rough, and if you sand it with anything really, but in order to get the texture out of it, you got to get really, really rough with it. So you want to take like 80 grit to it and just go to town on a DA. And when it does that, when you do that, what it does, it creates like a fuzziness in the plastic, and it's very hard to get rid of it. There are different ways you can do it, but when you do 80 grit on plastic, it just kind of destroys the plastic, because you're taking a really aggressive sandpaper to plastic to get all that texture out. So when you go and clean it up and you go to actually primer it, that primer is going to soak into all that, and all that fuzzy stuff, it's really, really hard to get out of it. So a tip that I have, if you're wanting to do this and you're getting to the point of primering, before you primer, after you've fully sanded everything and cleaned it, all that stuff, what you're going to do is take, let's say you could take 400, you could take 600, but being 80 grit, you can actually take like 320 to it, and you can spray it with some spray away glass cleaner, and just spray the entire piece with spray away and get it like pretty wet, like you're wet sanding, but on a DA, and then take that sandpaper on a DA and just buzz over that plastic. What that's going to do is it's going to kill that fuzzies. It's going to knock them down a little bit. It's not going to be totally smooth, but it will help you. That way you're not putting gobs of primer on your plastics. Because if you don't, you're going to have to put gobs of primer on it. So that's one little trick for you guys if you're wanting to do this. But just be aware that it is a lot of work. And what I've sure, this isn't even all of it. Obviously, I've got the dash and the door panels. The other door panels are right here. But there are little pieces such as like vents and stuff like that you got to paint. So there's a lot of little stuff that you have to paint to when you do all of it. That way when you put it together, it's all one, it's all seamless. Everything matches. So it's just a lot of pieces. I mean, we got the glove box and some of these pieces, like for instance, these back pieces right here, they've got this cover because this is actually a cubby right here. And those covers over here. So you got to tear it apart, get in there, smooth all that out. Same thing with the glove box. You got to tear the glove box down, or the center console, not the glove box right here. I still had to tear the glove box off, like the handle. The handle is down here, but all this stuff has to be torn down to get everything, to get it all in there and to get it all smooth and even. So it's just a lot of work, but finally towards the end of the road on it, I decided to go ahead and do it because I am still waiting on the body parts for the car. So I can't necessarily finish the outside of the car the way I want it without having that kit, because I need that kit to pre-install it, make sure everything lines up. Then once I do all that, and I know the front bumper fits the way I want it to, I can cut the core support out of it and mock up the other core support. We're going to put a tubular front end core support on this thing because this one's just so rotted. And then once I do that, I can start going through here and shaving down and welding up the engine bay. And then once I do all that, I can jump on the outside and mess with the body kit when I get it. So that is the plan for it. I can't really do too much to it right now because the only thing I really could do is start doing the engine bay and things like that. But I decided to just do the interior because I knew the interior, this is more work. In my opinion, this is more work than painting the outside of the car. It's more pieces. It's more surface area. You got a lot more areas you got to get down and get to. It's just a lot more work than painting an outside of the car. So it's not cheap. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of materials. I'll probably have just in liquid primer I have on these interior pieces, I'm probably going to have around $600, $700 just in primer. And that's only doing 2 rounds of primer. And I put 4 coats each round. So that gives you an idea how much money this is going to take. And it's still not even painted yet. So clear and base coat and all that stuff is really going to add up. I'm going to have probably at least $2 to $3 grand just in paint materials probably doing this interior. So it is very costly, but the end result is really cool. So, but once I get all that done, what I'll do is I'll probably honestly jump on the engine bay and I'll do a video about how I go about grinding this stuff down and welding it up and all that good stuff, because I think I've tried to contact the company multiple times that is making the kit, and they're honestly not easy to get a hold of. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to have at least another month or 2 to wait on this kit. It's winter time here, so I don't know if that's holding anything up with transportation and shipping, if it is done already. But I just can't get a hold of them really to figure out what's the holdup on making this rear bumper, because that was the only thing that needed to be made was a rear bumper. The front bumper and the side skirts were already in stock from what I was told from the company that I bought it from. It was just the rear bumper had to be made. They didn't have one in stock, so I don't know if it was a situation where they have to find the mold for it and they haven't built one for a very long time. They had to go through that process again, or maybe they just took my money and ran. I don't know, and they were just lying about everything. But it has been 4 months, so if you know anything about buying stuff online, you have pretty much a 3-month chance to get your money back with the credit card use. I mean, obviously, I can probably get a hold of my bank and work with them through it and get my money back, but it's pretty much gone at that point. If I'd rather just wait and get everything and have it to be perfect to where I don't have to really mess with it and wait 6 or 7 months or whatever and it just be perfect where I just got to drill the holes and bolt it on the car and go, than to have it really, really fast and get shitty quality as far as parts go. So I would rather wait, but I don't know the situation. Like I said, I haven't been able to get a hold of them. So hopefully they are going through and making it, and it's not just they're not scamming me out of my money or anything like that, because it wasn't cheap. I'll tell you that right now. So when I'm waiting on that stuff, I'll probably knock out the engine bay and get that done. And then at that point, if I'm still waiting, um, I will probably start to. Honestly, I probably can't really do too much else. I could probably get the car. I got it on this dolly system right now. I've got these wooden dollies where I can push it around, and I'll probably get it back up in the air, take the rear trailing arms off and the rear suspension out, and probably start doing the wheel wells, and getting all those cleaned up. That way, after I get done painting all of it, I can just do the inners of the wheel wells and rhino line them, whatever I want to do with them. But that's the only thing I can really do once I get all this done, because I do not want to paint this stuff a color, and when I do the outside of the car, I don't want to have to change my mind. I don't know what color I'm going to paint the outside of the car is what I'm saying. So I don't want to paint this stuff when I'm not sure about the outside. The outside color of the car is going to dictate what I paint the inside of the interior. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be bright colors, but I just don't know the color combination that I'm going to do yet. I've got a few things in mind, but I'm just not set on an outside paint color yet. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do graphics with it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do something really clean. I'm just not sure altogether. So I need to paint the outside of the car before I do the inside, because that is a lot of work. And the last thing I want to do is paint everything and spend all that time and money into painting this interior, and then figure out that the outside color of the car that I want is not going to match, or it's not going to complement the inside. So, yeah, so it's kind of, I want to keep it a secret. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you guys what color or anything I'm thinking about. There's about 4 ideas that I have, and they're all cool ideas. They're all really, really crazy looking, because I want this thing to stick out. I mean, I'm not doing this just to put it back to stock. I'm not doing this just to blend in with everybody else. I want this thing to stick out. If you don't know or haven't seen any of my videos, I will show you my SRT4 Neon and what I've done to it, because it's pretty crazy. It sticks out like a sore thumb. When you see this thing coming down the road, not only do you hear it, but you see it, because it is very, very bright, and it draws a big crowd. Every time I take it out, there is a big crowd of people wanting to look at it and see what the heck it is. And that is this car. It's a bright green. In the sun, it really, really is bright. And then sometimes I run with no hood on it, so when you see this thing pull up somewhere, you're like, what the heck is this? It's just a really, really cool car. So this is kind of the idea, I guess, that I am going with for the Honda 2. Just not the same colors, obviously, or the same graphics or any graphics. I kind of want to do a little bit of a graphic on this, just a really subtle one, but I don't want to do anything crazy. I thought about two-toning it. Two-tones aren't really in anymore, but this car works really well because of the body line. It's got a body line going from the front of the fender all the way back to the quarter, and these cars are really, really cool looking when they're two-toned right. So I've thought about that, but I'm just not sure what I want to do. And I'm not going to be sure because I honestly don't want to paint. Like I said, I don't want to paint all this and then put it together and get tired of it in a couple years, because that thing is going to get repainted. So it's going to go the same color as the engine bay, if I haven't told you guys that. So just going to change it up because it's been green for a few years now, and it's starting to see its age because I drive it, and I drive it all the time. And where I live, it just beats the crap out of everything. So it really needs a refresh. So sometime after I get this situated and I have time, I'm going to do the head work on this. We got a whole head package, a built head that I'm going to be putting on this car too, which is going to be another video. But we finally got the cam gears in for it. So we got a built head, and when I say built, it is springs, retainers, even the lashers, the rollers, all that stuff. It's been ported and polished. All that is titanium. It's been upgraded. You obviously got to put head studs in it. You got stage 3 cams. We got new pulleys, new water pump, new belt, new head gasket. I mean, everything brand new on this to put on this, because this is probably going to push this car well up to, if not over 500 horsepower. So it's going to be pretty nasty. It still has a stock block, and I've been debating on building a block for it, since I'm going to have the motor tore apart, or buy one or something and just keep this one intact and just swap motors. I don't know 100% yet, so I've kind of put this off, or else this would have been in pieces already. So when you get to that point of building this stuff, it's like, where do you stop, right? This car was never meant to be a race car or something someone considers fast. It is mainly just to show off the paint and more of a show. But it is nice to have something where you can keep up with stuff. So I'm putting a little bit more money into the motor on this. A lot more money. This was not cheap. A lot more money into this to push a little bit more power. Doing the heads on these cars, ported and polished and cams and everything, it really wakes this car up. So that is the key, is to port your head, put bigger cams in it, gears, and do all that fun stuff, and it will really wake these things up. And they're just really fun to drive, but you gotta be understanding of, you don't want to go too far with it, because it will become something that's not fun to drive. Like I said, I drive this thing all the time, so I don't want to take it to crazy amounts of level. I just know that this engine has 150 some thousand miles on it, so that's why I'm debating on putting a built or refreshed block in it along with the head, because this head, it actually came off of a 8-second drag car, and it's been refreshed, it's been checked out, so it's good to go. So it has been 8s in the quarter mile. So I know this thing is going to be pretty nasty when I get done with it, and I want to make sure that my investment in the head and everything is going to last. I'm not going to beat on it all the time, but I am going to push more boost. Right now it's roughly at 20 to 22, depending on what I set it at. So that is just another thing that I've got in the works of what I'm deciding to do. But back to the Honda. If you haven't seen it, this is it. It is pretty much gutted. There's a little stuff in here. I mean, you got the seats and the carpet in there pretty much, and that's it. But I need to get that dash and everything in final prime. And then once I do all that, we will jump back into doing the shaved bay on it and getting that fixed up. So if you have one of these cars, or have a tuner car, I guess you should say, and it's done back to 2000 period correct era, share with it in the comments. This is the type of stuff you really don't see in my area anymore. You really don't see it at all. West Coast, you might see a little bit more of it since it's nicer out there. Here, the weather sucks, and it's just, people don't get into this stuff anymore. The most that you see out of cars around where I live is you'll get wheels and tires. Some people might put air ride on their wheels and tires on their brand new car, no matter what it is. A brand new car, stock body, stock everything else. They put a airlift or coilovers and wheels, and they tint their windows, and they think it's a show car. And some of them might wrap it, put decals on it, and they think it's a show car. And they just people these days don't. I mean, people. I mean, kids, the younger crowd. I'm 37, so I'm kind of showing my age here, but back when I was a kid, when I say kid, it was back when I was first getting my driver's license. Stuff like this was really really hot, right? So it was that early 2000s, mid 2000s tuner area, to where people were putting body kits on stuff. People were fiberglass in their interiors to paint them. People were doing crazy wide body modifications to their car that was actually wide body. We didn't have any of these kits to where they look like fender flares bolted onto the side of your fenders and your quarter panels. We didn't do any of that because we just molded everything. We worked in our garages and we took some fiberglass and we just played with it, and we just built really cool one-off stuff, and you just don't see that anymore. So that's why I'm building this one, to be not only to make it last another 10 to 15, 20 years, but I want this thing to really be taken back to where I go and do like a little show or something like that with it, or I drive it down the road and people are like, I remember that time period. Because you just don't see it anymore. So if you have something like this, post it in the comments. Obviously you probably can't post pictures down there, but say what you got down there. Say what you guys are doing to it, or your modifications that are already done to it. Because modifying a car nowadays is not modifying a car to me. From what people say, they have modified their car, and all you found out that they've done is put air ride on it, or they put a wrap on it. Oh, I modified my car. That's like, no, you have not done anything crazy to that car. Once you take your like this and shave it and paint it and all that other stuff and fiberglass it and make it look really, really unique, that's modifying a car. Wrapping a car in stickers, or one big sticker with designs all over it, is not a modification. So just my 2 cents with it. But yeah, this is going to be really, really cool. Hopefully I get some time here. We'll jump back out here and start working on this thing. But right now I'm just going to start. I want to really get that dash and those interior pieces knocked out really, really quickly. Hopefully by next week I can have it at least in the first round of primer. And once I get it in the first round of primer, I just need to sand it, block it back down, and then I can re-primer it, and in that way it would be a final primer. Because I'm going to do two rounds of primer with four coats each, like I said earlier. So that is the goal. I don't want to put any more on. I think that would be perfectly fine to get all that stuff straight. It's already pretty straight right now. I'm just going through and I'm filling all the imperfections in it, like you guys saw in the video earlier before all this. I'm showing you now all the little, the little craters and all that stuff. I got to go around and fill all that in, and then final block it and get it ready for primer. So if you're wanting to do something like this, just know it's really, really expensive. It's really, really time consuming. There's not many people out there that will do it for you because they've done it so many times, they're burnt out with it. So just, keep that in mind. But, and then if you're wanting to do this, like I said, 80 grit it, wet it down, go with 400, 600 grit sandpaper on a DA, smooth it out, primer the crap out of it, sand it back down, primer the crap out of it again, sand it back down, and you should be ready for your paint by then. If you're not, then you're not doing something right. Take your time with it because it's not a rush. Something like this, you have to take your time with. It's more like a mental thing than anything because it will get to your head, because it is very, very tedious and you're going to want to break down and quit, but you just got to keep pushing. Do it in sections like I'm doing. Like, get in the primer, let a couple weeks go by or whatever, start sanding things down a little bit for paint, or maybe the second coat of primer. Don't rush it all at once. Do it in sections and stages. That's what I found out to be the best, because I did all this you see right here. I did all this in 4 days. So I really killed myself to get all this in final primer. And I've probably got, you know, I'm talking 9-10 hours a day. So I've probably got 40 some hours just in this stuff right here. So I'm well over 60 hours, including the dash and the rest of the door panel pieces. And then I didn't even factor in what it took me to tear all this apart out of the car. So I'm nearly probably 80-90 hours in all this, and I'm not even I'm not even ready for paint yet. So it is a lot. So pace yourselves if you are wanting to do this, because it's not something you need to rush. It will kill you. It will wear you down very fast. But I'm rambling on. I can't even talk anymore. It's cold. I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna end this video here, and I'll start working on the next video idea that I've got. I've been doing a logo for a car club. I did post a little bit of a time-lapse drawing of the beginning stages of that. If you haven't watched that, go down below and watch it. You can definitely tell which one it is, because it is actually a drawing that I'm doing on my computer. I've been working on that. Might show a little bit more of that, but the next thing is probably going to be either the final results of the dash and everything in primer, or it's going to be starting on the head swap on the SRT4 Neon, or it's going to be the engine bay getting shaved, and walking you guys through all that stuff. So either way I go, there's going to be something for you guys to watch. So I appreciate it. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been here for a while, thanks for sticking around. And I'm going to start to get some stuff coming. Just go watch. There's a lot of videos to watch to keep you guys consumed with content. A lot of my videos are very long, because I try to show everything. I don't really cut or edit anything out. I might speed it up a little bit sometimes, but for the most part, you guys are seeing it how I'm doing it, and it just takes a lot of time to do this stuff. So sorry for that, but that's just reality, and I want to show you guys as much reality as I can. That way you guys can either learn from it, or if you like enjoying process videos where you can see from start to finish, all that stuff. There's too much fake crap out there anymore. There's too many fake painters out there doing cheap work, thinking they're doing an excellent job, and they're just hacking stuff out. There's just too much of that anymore. So this is one of those channels where I'm just going to shoot it to you guys straight of how it is, of what I go through. And this is pretty much how it pretty much plays out. So this is pretty much reality of what I'm going through. And it's a lot. It's a lot to do videos and, you know, film everything and then go through and make it all and send it in and get it all downloaded and all that stuff. It's a lot of work. So I appreciate you guys being here. If you haven't, subscribe. I know subscriptions don't really matter as far as getting anything done on YouTube, but it will help me get monetized. And once we get monetized, these videos will start coming up more regularly, because YouTube will recognize it. The algorithm will see it. So once you guys start subscribing more and liking the videos, that stuff will start ramping up, and these videos you'll be able to see a lot more of them, because I feel like my videos don't get put out there as much as a lot of other people. But if you like reality, you like everything raw, unedited, this is a channel to be at, because I'm going to start doing I pretty much been doing it that way. So I'm not going to cut you guys short on anything like that. So I want to get off of here, and I'll see you guys on the next one.